Bill, it's great to have you on the program. I'm going to ask a question which you might think is crazy. And no, I have not put Bailey's in my coffee. I know the headlines are horrific. 36 million unemployed. Any headline economic number goes from bad to worse. However, the eyeball test, you drive around parking lots, particularly Walmarts and Home Depot. Is it possible that not small business, that's a separate animal, but these big companies, that retail sales may be better than the headlines suggest?
Morning, Brian. Hey, yeah, I think retail sales for the guys that have been open are going to be strong, relatively strong, I should say. I think the challenge and what I'm going to be looking for is how they're able to translate that into operating income. And maybe that's not what we need to be looking at right now. But the challenge, I think, for a lot of the retailers that have stayed open, the big boxes in particular, is can they continue to go on the way they're going on? I think the top line will be very strong, but the costs that they've had to put in place in order to stay open will be their challenge. And so how is that all going to look?
Yeah, is it really just, you think, Bill, a measure of the fact that nobody else is open? Again, small business, they're suffering. That is a totally different animal. But we forget that 120 million Americans still are working, and I would imagine that a great number of them are saving a lot of money. They're not commuting. They're not spending on lunch at the office. They're not taking discretionary vacations. And let's be clear, many of them, many of us, are getting a little bit pent up and exert the energy by doing home projects. I'm told.
I think so. I think you're right. I think, we're in a scenario where a good percentage of people aren't working. The ones that are working from home. Everybody, or almost everybody, got a stimulus check. A lot of the people that have lost their jobs are getting enhanced unemployment. Some of them making more money than they were when they were working. Kids are at home, and so you have time, cash in your hand, and only a few retailers open. So I think you're seeing this funnel of energy into the places that are open.
Yeah, we often forget that side of the story. I'm sure that more on that will be told throughout the next couple of weeks, months, and quarters ahead. What do you expect to hear from Walmart? I mean, you kind of addressed it at the top, Bill, which is they've had to change the way they do business dramatically. How long will that continue? Do you see a quote, back to normal anytime in 2020?
I think we're going to find what normal looks like. And it's probably not the way it was, and it was before the pandemic, and it's probably not the way it was at the peak of the pandemic. The real challenge, I think, and what we need to look for in Walmart's numbers is two things happen to their business model. The first is the huge, massive push towards food and consumables that occurred, toilet paper and grocery. Those are not the margin drivers of their business. The margin drivers of their business are the general merchandise side. So they always need a healthy balance of food and GM in order to put together a P&L where, well, the fire hose went off on the food and consumable side, and it was pretty quiet on the general merchandise side. So I think they're going to have a mixed problem. The second thing is...
Well, go ahead.
Go ahead. Yeah, the second thing is that...
No, I wanted to ask because I worry, Bill, I want to jump in, we're running out of time. I do worry about small business, and I understand it. Do you think the winners that we're seeing now, the Home Depots, the Walmarts of the world, Amazon, obviously a separate beast altogether, that the winners of today will continue to be the big winners? They're the only ones that are open right now. Do you see structural shifts in the way that we shop ultimately coming from this?
I think we saw an acceleration of the consumer to digital or online sales. And I believe that will back off from where it was at the peak, but it'll be increased from where it was before we went into the pandemic. So small businesses, I think, as they reopen, will be successful. They're going to have to figure out a way to serve the digital consumer. And I think a lot of them have, and a lot of them will continue. The food and consumables that drove the big box Walmart, the home repair, because we were all pent up, that drove Depot and Lowe's, that's going to back off some. And a lot of the stock up that we did on grocery, on toilet paper, on things like that, that's just going to take time to work through the system. So the guys that did well in the beginning probably won't do well in the next quarter. And I think there's an opportunity for small business to recover during that time frame.